We are the Fourth. We are Florida.
Frustration for the Fish is at a boiling point. A slew of injuries have made for a tough stretch. Tonight, though, a young up-and-comer gets a shot at the Red Sox. Actually, that is Big Papi. Still going, Boston strong. Red Sox, Marlins, coming up. Dark skies above Miami. A lot of rain downtown. Roof shut. Red Sox in. Marlins and Red Sox both trying to get out of the cellars of the East. Pablo Sandoval in the house. That is Big Papi. Hanley Ramirez is here, but not in the lineup. Injured tonight. Justin Nicolino up from AAA gets the start. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. Welcome to Miami. You've got two teams trying to get it right in the last 2 months of the season.
Two teams, if you go over the last 26 games, Rich, they've both really struggled. So it'll be an interesting series. Of course, a lot of Red Sox fans here. And the Marlins always seem to play a little better.
Marlins have lost some starters out of the rotation, and the call went down to New Orleans. Justin Nicolino makes his third Major League start. What does he feature? What will he throw at the Red Sox?
Well, it's going to be fun the next couple of nights. We'll see two young left-handers. We'll start with Justin Nicolino, a 23-year-old. He has that high 80s to low 90s fastball. He'll cut it. His best pitch is his changeup. He'll use that, which he has done successfully in the minor leagues. Then he'll drop the hammer in there. Curveball, that helped him get a double play. Out of University High School in Orlando, Justin Nicolino was his third Major League start tonight.
And he's going to face a legend in David Ortiz. Big Papi's numbers aren't great, but they're still pretty darn good, especially at his age.
You know, it's amazing. Big Papi's 39. You see what he's done in his 20 games in his career against the Marlins. 489 career home runs for David Ortiz. He's only played 5 games at first base this year because we're in a National League city. No DH for Big Papi tonight.
He's at first base tonight. Miami and Boston. It's a brief 2-game series. We've got game 1 tonight, and it just happens to be email and Twitter Tuesday. Jessica Blaylock when we return. Ball game coming up. Justin Nicolino gets ready for Major League start number 3. We get ready for emails and tweets. Let's go down below to Jessica Blaylock. Hi, Jess.
Hey, Rich. It is another email and Twitter Tuesday. So Marlins fans, you know what that means. We want to hear from you. Send us your questions and comments on any subject, and you just might make it into the broadcast. Be sure to send those tweets to @FoxMarlins. Your emails can go to foxmarlins@gmail.com. You can also use tonight's special hashtag, Twitter Tuesday. And just a reminder, there are several Marlins players who are on both Twitter and Instagram. Go ahead and take a look at that list, because that is a pretty good list. As you can see, Giancarlo Stanton, D. Gordon, Christian Yelich, and Justin Bour, just to name a few. So be sure to give those players a follow on both social media platforms. By the way, I had a chance to talk to D. Gordon. He told me that his favorite thing about Twitter is interacting with fans and showing them his personality. And D has so much personality, it cannot just be limited to the clubhouse. Be sure to keep it right here. First pitch is coming up next between the Red Sox and the Marlins. It is game 1 of a 2-game series. It is Justin Nicolino on the mound in his 3rd Major League start. Rich Walsh and Tommy Hutton with the call. That is coming up next on Fox Sports Florida.
Let's go places. Now by Auto Nation, save on over 70,000 vehicles now. Visit us online at AutoNation.com. Ceviche, one of our favorite spots. The taste of Miami, that is Don Calderon's. That is Justin Nicolino, the lefty out of University High School in Orlando, just 23, back in the big leagues. And he makes his 3rd Major League start here against the Boston Red Sox. Red Sox at 50 and 62 in the basement of the East in the American League. Lineup brought to you by J.M. Lexus. Mookie Betts just off the concussion list. He's in center. Brock Holt, an all-star this year. Very versatile at second. Xander Bogaerts is hot. He should have been an all-star. He's at short. David Ortiz, Big Poppy in the cleanup spot. Pablo Sandoval at third base. Blake Swihart gets to catch the knuckleballs. Rusney Castillo is in right field. Jackie Bradley Jr. had a big Sunday. He drove in 5 runs. Stephen Wright, the knuckleballer, hits 9th. And here is Justin Nicolino.
Yeah, good look at the 23-year-old left-hander. His last start for New Orleans was back on August 4th. It was against Oklahoma City. 7-3 win. Nicolino, 6 innings, 8 hits. Gave up just a couple of runs. His last start as a Marlin was against the Dodgers on June 26th. Gave up a home run to Van Slyke. Went just 4 innings, but he had a good start prior to that. So 1 good, 1 bad. Justin Nicolino is going to get a chance here the final couple of months of the season.
BMW brings you the defense with some adjustments behind Nicolino.
Yeah, there are. Dietrich is in left field. 13 starts out there for Derek. In center field is Cole Gillespie. Ichiro is in right. Prado Echeverria, D. Gordon, Justin Bohr around the infield with Real Muto behind the plate. You see no Christian Yelich. It was a last-minute scratch. Knee a little tender, if you remember, on a ball I believe it was hit by Johnny Gomes in Atlanta. Yelich banged up against the wall at Turner Field right there. He had a lot of ice on it. I saw him in the clubhouse after the game, and I guess over the off day it's not gotten a lot better, so hopefully he'll be back in there tomorrow.
And by getting a night off tonight, he essentially gets 2 days to rest it. Mookie Betts is in the box. Justin Nicolino ready to go. And this ball game is underway. Pitch Penny brings you a fastball for a strike. Paul Emmel with an emphatic strike. Jerry Meals, Andy Fletcher, Jordan Baker also on the bases for this brief 2-game interleague series. And Betts takes in Mookie Betts, the 22-year-old out of Tennessee. 5th-round pick back in 2011.
He was a late adjustment to their lineup. They weren't sure how the concussion symptoms were, but everything checked out fine for Betts. He spent 7 days on that concussion disabled list.
Outside corner from Nicolino. Now remember, Justin Nicolino in his major league debut was splendid in Cincinnati. 7 innings, 4 hits, didn't give up a run, beat the Reds 5-0. Betts lines it into center field, a base hit. Gillespie picks it up. In his second start, Nicolino got knocked around by the Dodgers and lost 7-1.
That time, Betts got the off-speed pitch. Looks like the changeup. And to Betts' credit, he stayed back with a solid swing.
So Betts is aboard. He's got 13 stolen bases. And here is Brock Holt. When the Marlins were in Boston, we marveled at the versatility of this young player. So far this year, 32 starts at second. That's where he is tonight. 16 in right, 14 at third, 6 in left, 6 at short, 5 at first, and 2 in center.
One of the reasons he was the Red Sox representative in the All-Star game.
Rice University. Slow tapper. Gordon has to settle for an out at first. Mookie Betts now at second. Nicolino has an out, and now he gets into the teeth of Boston's lineup. Xander Bogaerts.
Justin Nicolino, not a strikeout guy. He'll cut it, he'll sink it, and when it's all working, he'll get some ground ball outs, and he gets a good ground ball out there.
Now Bogaerts, who really crushes left-handed pitching. In fact, he's the best in the major leagues, a .390 average against lefties. If you want to even scarier number, since the 2nd of July, so more than a month ago, he's hitting .571 against lefties.
And from what we've been told, playing some tremendous shortstop too.
Betts bluffs a ball and a strike. Those splits. Not a power guy. Bogaerts out of Aruba. Where's number 2? Because his hero growing up, Derek Jeter.
So even coming out of Aruba, appreciated what Derek Jeter did in his career at that shortstop position. Very intelligent young kid, too. Got his high school diploma when he was 16. That's a good pitch. That's that cut fastball that Nicolino will try to run inside to the right-handed hitters.
It seems as if every successful lefty who doesn't throw hard and is a starter in the major leagues has that pitch, that cut fastball. Line to left. Dietrich has it. Holding third is Betts. Good strong throw by Dietrich. And true to form, Bogaerts clobbers one off the lefty. A bullet of a single to left.
You know, and a pretty good jump, too, from second base by Mookie Betts. This ball was questionable for a second. Would it be caught or would it drop? Betts summed it up right away. Watch Betts. He doesn't hesitate much at all. He was thinking about scoring. He was held by Brian Butterfield, their third base coach. Good job by Derek Dietrich to charge it and get it in quickly.
And so here is Ortiz. You could hear the ruckus when he arrived at the plate. Plenty of Red Sox fans in the ballpark tonight. Ortiz against lefties this year, not so good. So Nicolino goes to work with runners at the corners and misses in. One concern for the Marlins tonight with Nicolino. In his 7 starts in New Orleans since he was in the big leagues, he's not pitched well. His ERA close to 7. The hope is that his arrival here gives him a little bit of a kick. The Marlins certainly could use him in their rotation.
But I think, Rich, as things have gone in the rotation, the Marlins are going to get a real good opportunity to see both Nicolino and Adam Conley. Conley pitching tomorrow. A couple of young left-handers.
Emails and tweets will get there shortly. Count 2-1. Ortiz's bat has started to perk up a bit. Last 16 games, a .344 average and a .770 slugging percentage. And the homers have started to come. 3 homers in his last 5 games. Hits it hard. Gordon, a shot at 2. Etch's turn. Got him. Tough slide. Etch knocked over. Bogaerts got a good piece of him. That's a really nice double play. From Gordon to Echeverria to Bohr. Scoreless. Miami. JM Lexus brings you Miami's lineup. Gordon in the leadoff spot. Martin Prado slotted second. With Christian Yelich out of the lineup. Derek Dietrich up in the 3 spot. Justin Bohr hits cleanup. And Cole Gillespie is in Dietrich's spot in center. JT Real Muto will do the catching. Ichiro. Lots of games against the Red Sox. Danny Echeverria at short. And Justin Nicolino hits 9th.
Well, I believe the first time this year the Marlins will face a knuckleball pitcher. Stephen Wright, 30-year-old.
And he throws a strike.
He's been on a nice roll, and what that usually tells you about a knuckleball pitcher is that he's consistent with it. And where knuckleball pitchers get in trouble, they get out of whack, they can't throw strikes with it, they have to resort to their other stuff, which he'll throw a few fastballs, he'll throw a few breaking balls.
1-1 pitch to Gordon. D hits a chopper towards second. Holt has it. Little flip in time. And there's 1 out.
And let's check in on that Red Sox team defensively, brought to you by BMW. Jackie Bradley Jr., Mookie Betts, Rusney Castillo. The outfield, the Panda, Pablo Sandoval, Xander Bogaerts, Brock Holt, David Ortiz, and Blake Swihart, young catcher, behind the plate. And a challenge for any catcher to catch that knuckleballer.
There are some young Marlins that have never faced a knuckleball. JT Real Muto on Marlins Live talked about that. He was actually looking forward to it.
I asked Justin Bohr. He said he didn't even remember the guy's name, but it was in rookie ball. He faced a knuckleball pitcher and hit his first professional home run against him.
Prado takes in. Bohr hoping that somebody gets on so he gets an at bat here in the first. 1-1 from Wright. You talked about resorting back to his old pitching stuff. He actually had to resort to the knuckleball after he'd been a pro for 4 years. Drafted by the Indians at the University of Hawaii in the 2nd round. Pitching coach spotted him in 2010 fooling around with the knuckleball and said, you might want to try that. Scouting report. Prado swings and misses at one that knuckled up under his chin.
And of course, if you're a knuckleball pitcher, you tap into former knuckleballers. Certainly Tim Wakefield, who had a tremendous 17-year run with the Red Sox, and Charlie Huff. So Stephen Wright has been able to talk to both of those guys. Wakefield in the spring with the Red Sox.
He was dynamite his last time out. He beat the Yankees in Yankee Stadium 2-1. 8 innings, 9 strikeouts. Up and in. Dietrich takes a ball. Always fun to watch the lack of rotation.
It is not moving. That's incredible. Dietrich, who we see all the time, gets on the plate. A lot of guys will try to get on the plate and even move up a little closer against the knuckleball.
That was a garden variety 83-mile-an-hour fastball. Dietrich pops it up. Sandoval is there, and Stephen Wright, the knuckleballer, the 10-pitch first inning. Scoreless. Red Sox, Marlins. Some Ichiro shirts on this rainy Tuesday night. That's the giveaway item tonight, and Ichiro is in the lineup in right field. And a good smattering of Red Sox fans as well. Pablo Sandoval, Blake Swihart, and Rusney Castillo for the Red Sox.
I think we talked about it on Marlins Live with Sandoval not switch hitting. But you see him up there lefty against lefty. Got jammed a little bit, and Gillespie making the play. 1 pitch, 1 out. You like that?
Yeah, he kind of abandoned that in late May and figured it wasn't working from the right side. So he's, except for a couple at bats, has been almost all lefty.
It brings up an interesting question. I mean, here's a guy who signed for a lot of money as a switch hitting third baseman. And now he's not a switch hitting third baseman.
He's not giving any of that money back, if that's what you want.
I understand that.
Here's Blake Swihart. Swihart takes a strike. Swihart, a highly touted catching prospect. Entered the year as the #1 catching prospect in baseball, according to the baseball Bible, so to speak, Baseball America. Fouls that one off himself.
Well, I think if you're in high school, you're in college, or you participate in a showcase, all of a sudden they say, there's a switch hitting catcher. Everybody's eyes light up a little bit.
Who is still switch hitting. 1-2.
Yeah, he hasn't given it up like the Panda.
Swihart, 26th overall pick in 2011. Bounces that one up the middle. And Chavarria. Ooh, that's close. Wow. Swihart reacting like he was in there. His first base coach telling him, we'll look at it. Torey Lovello is at the top step.
You got a feeling that Echeverria didn't have a good grip on this ball because the throw was almost like a changeup. Boy, that's very close. Is it back of the glove? D. Gordon's in the way. Come on, D.
You see Torey Lovello, who is many people feel will make a fine manager in the big leagues in a year or two. One more look here. And that's, I can't tell even from that replay. So no challenge. You were talking, Tommy, on Marlins Live. John Farrell just underwent some surgery yesterday.
Farrell had hernia surgery here in Miami. The Red Sox were in town. They had the off day. And hernia surgery. So Torey Lovello is handling things right now in that Red Sox dugout. I believe John Farrell is here.
Rusney Castillo, the Cuban, is up.
And we wish him well.
We do. And this is one time where a manager can stay in his office and help call the game legally. That one hit well to left center. Dietrich is there.
No monster. No monster here.
No monster, no home run. Scoreless. Include the hashtag TuneIn Marlins and hashtag sponsored, and be entered to win a chance for an autographed team gear and more. Stay tuned. Even a Tommy Hutton tie might be yours. Marlins Live postgame show. Find out if you're the lucky winner tonight. And if you get Tommy's tie tonight, you really get some. It's a sweet navy, little light blue spots on it. Justin Bohr in the box. Cole Gillespie, JT Realmuto against Stephen Wright. All right, emails and tweets. I'll throw out the ceremonial first email. And it is from Jay. Jay says, with Giancarlo Stanton and Christian Yelich signed to long-term contracts, what's the status of D. Gordon's contract? Is he under team control long-term? If not, has the team had any conversations to keep him from years to come? Bohr crunches one. That's just foul. David Ortiz helping out the first base umpire, Jerry Meals. D. Gordon is in his first year of arbitration, second year of arbitration next year. He is under club control through 2018. He is a free agent 2019.
Yeah, you have to keep in mind that a club, once a player reaches the major leagues, has control for 6 years as a major league player until he can become a free agent.
More swings, got a piece of it. Swihart with that hybrid catcher's glove holds on.
You know, when you watch guys like Stephen Wright, it brings back awful nightmares of a Phil Niekro, a Tom Candiotti, and R.A. Dickey. Guys who had success with that knuckleball, and it seems like when they get ahead, they get a couple of strikes on you, they reach back and throw a better one. They try to throw one that even moves more.
Well, the interesting thing about a guy like Wright, and you mentioned that Charlie Huff, Tim Wakefield have worked with him, but for modern day pitchers trying to make the conversion strike to Gillespie, the only guy they have to look to is R.A. Dickey. And R.A. Dickey is different than other knuckleballers. He throws his harder with more velocity than both Wakefield and Huff and any of the other guys that have had success. And that's what Wright initially started to do. See the speed range. 83 is his fastball. Breaking ball, and when you get one of those, you jump on it.
Oh, you got to be ready for the fastball or slider, and that was a little slider from Stephen Wright.
And it wasn't until last year when he slowed down.
No, it was an knuckleball.
It was. It acted like a breaking ball.
It did. It moved away. But you saw the rotation was knuckleball. But it was a hanger. And you hear so often, you know, when it's high, let it fly. That was an old saying. When it's low, let it go. But you see it better when it's up.
And on that one, you actually saw the ball rotate, which means it wasn't a great knuckleball. Yeah, he was up in the low 80s when he started to throw the knuckleball. And then last year, the Red Sox said, why don't you dial it back? And instead of 80, get it into the low 70s. And that's when things really clicked.
Guys like Wakefield and Huff didn't throw it as hard as Dickey still does.
JT Realmuto. On Marlins Live, Realmuto admitting he's never faced a knuckleball. Maybe in his backyard, but not in the minors or in the big leagues. Not easy for a guy that's scuffling, and Realmuto is 3 for his last 26. To have to face a knuckleball guy, because your instinct as a hitter is to be aggressive when you're struggling, and that oftentimes is exactly what a knuckleballer feeds off of.
Both Lenny Harris, Marlins hitting instructor, and Frank Menachino, who worked together so well, both said and both faced knuckleballers in their careers. Frank said he'd get on top of the plate, move up a little bit, try to take that inside pitch away, and always be ready for the other pitch, the slider or the little fastball. Lenny Harris said he'd try the same. He'd move up on the plate. Try not to give it as much time to knuckle.
Strike 3 called. Real Muto watched that one float across the inside part. 3 strikeouts already for Stephen Wright. Only way to guarantee access to the 2017 All-Star Game at Marlins Park. Place your 2016 Marlins season ticket deposit. Join Fish Family today. Full season ticket plans start at just $499. Start saving now. Call 1-877-MARLINS or go to marlins.com/tickets. Ichiro. We'll see how the future Hall of Famer handles a knuckleball.
A lot of tweets. Rich checking in on Giancarlo Stanton's timetable. By the way, most knuckleballers have good moves. They've had to work on it. But as far as Giancarlo hitting in the cages, but not off batting practice pitcher. So there really isn't a specific timetable yet.
Had a chance to talk to Dan Jennings and Michael Hill about the long laundry list of injuries that the Marlins have faced. The Red Sox have had some of that too. But you feel for this guy, Blake Swihart. Watch this.
Okay, I've got to reach up for it. Oh no, it's coming down here. Wow.
And that glove is a special hybrid glove. You can't just walk into Dick's Sporting Goods and buy this.
It's usually a glove. Usually a glove too.
Before the game, he showed it to us.
Look at the size of that thing. It's usually the glove that the pitcher carries around with it. That Wright carries around with it.
On the stitching it says righty. Steve Sparks is a former Major League knuckleball pitcher. He's the one that designed the gloves, and so much like R.A. Dickey with Toronto, and now here Wright with the Red Sox, if you're a knuckleballer, you carry those gloves, and the poor catcher that has to catch you, so to speak, gets to wear that glove.
Steve Sparks is the knuckleballer that Frank Menachino talked about that he faced.
Ichiro walks. Echeverria with the count, 1 ball and 1 strike. And there's no way to simulate this in batting practice. They'll tap her up the line. There's no way Sandoval is going to get anybody. And the bags are loaded, and here comes Nicolino.
That's how you hit a knuckleball. You just find a spot where nobody can get it. 6-game hitting streak now for Adeiny Echeverria. Everybody's moving. Pitcher coming over, Sandoval coming in, runners moving up 90 feet.
Let's see how Nicolino fares. As well, suddenly there's some pressure on Wright to get these knuckleballs over the plate.
A little tougher for that catcher now. Oh, and he got that pitch.
Yeah, it's a fastball.
If you're a hitter, and again, talking with Frank Menachino, that's a pitch he doesn't want to see his hitters. Different story with Nicolino. He doesn't want to see them let that fastball, that little get-me-over fastball, go by.
Swihart had it right below him, and it counts 1 and 2. Nicolino hits it well. Ortiz Wright's at the bag, and Stephen Wright leaves him loaded in the second. 2 innings have passed Scoreless, Boston and Miami. Let's go down below Jessica Blaylock. Jess?
Hey, Rich. Well, not only is Dee Gordon a very active player on social media, but he's also very proud of his younger brother, Nick, who was drafted by the Twins organization just a few days ago after Nick hit this home run for one of Minnesota's minor league affiliates, the Cedar Rapids Cardinals. Dee says, little bro back out it again. You can see how proud he is of his younger brother, Nick. And how about those Twitter handles? Dee Gordon, you can find him at Flash G Jr. Nick Gordon, you can find at Flash G the third. And guys, that is, of course, a nod to their father, Tom, the original Flash Gordon.
Thank you, Jessica. The original Flash Gordon, of course, was a Boston Red Sox. Tom Gordon. Stephen King, huge Red Sox fan, actually wrote a book about a girl that got lost. I believe it was on the Shenandoah Trail, and the novel, The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. All she had was the transistor radio. She listened to Red Sox games, and she imagined that Tom Gordon would save her.
Probably listened to Joe Castiglione.
That's right. There's Jackie Bradley Jr., who fouls one back. Stephen Wright, Mookie Betts will follow. 5 of those 9 runs driven in came on Sunday. Red Sox are hoping that this young man's bat perks up.
After the next pitch from Justin Nicolino, I'll throw out a tweet that certainly goes along with tonight's matchup.
Center field, well hit. Gillespie goes back and can't get it on a dive. Bradley can fly. He's around second and on his way to third with a triple. Gillespie got a clean break and a good angle and then dove and still couldn't get it.
Yeah, that ball was hit hard by Bradley. Playing in just his 26th game, this ball takes off. A lot of room out there. Gillespie, we've seen make some really nice plays, but that time Cole made the dive, couldn't quite come up with it. And as soon as that ball got by him, you knew Bradley would end up at third.
So it's triple. Here's Wright, infield in.
Making his first ever plate appearance.
And a knuckleball pitcher, and you've got a knuckleball question.
Yeah, the question from Will at Wildebeest 11. How do umpires feel about knuckleball pitchers? The answer is it's just as difficult for them, and what they try to do, similar to a hitter, they'll try to wait as long as possible before making the call.
Up the middle, back to Nicolino. Gets the out, throws to first. Wright hit it hard, but Bradley is still at third base. They'll bring up Mookie Betts. T-Mobile, as usual, wants you to hashtag FL Data Strong Fan. You just might see yourself featured in an upcoming telecast. It's brought to you by T-Mobile. Here's a quick rules question as well. This is back in the San Diego series. Elmer wants to know, I remember when Alexei Amarista was at short, Miguel Rojas slid in, and Amarista's glove pushed Rojas's leg off the bag, and he was called out. Are you able to push a player off the bag to get an out? The answer is no, unless it's a normal tag and a guy's hanging on by a thread, and in the course of that normal tag, the foot comes off. Because in that case, Rojas had like his pinky toe on and was unable to hold it. But no, you can't just shove a guy and then tag him out. Into right field, Mookie Betts gives Boston a 1-0 lead. Joey for 2 is Betts.
You always roll the dice, take a little chance when you bring the infield in. And with the infield in, a much more opportune chance to hit, certainly, and Betts was able to push one through that right side. You see where D. Gordon is, and you also see where that ball went. Infield back, it's an out, but you take that chance. That time, the Red Sox come up with a base hit.
Brock Holt now, and you've got Betts with speed at first. DVD Cole has this question. How's #1 pick from last year, Tyler Kolek, doing? And what would be his progression for next year? Is he a AA player that could jump to the big leagues? Or is he a minor league pitcher next year with the idea of not rushing him?
He'll be in the minor leagues next year. You would hope the progression for Kolek would be in Jupiter in the Florida State League. He's in Greensboro this year, struggling. 4.9, an ERA of 4.42. And in 21 starts, 91 innings, he's only averaging a little over 4 innings a start. So he needs to get a lot more work, a lot more experience.
Samuel has a realignment question. What if the Marlins switched to the American League and the Blue Jays went to the National League? I think it would attract more fans and have the Red Sox and the Yankees as rivals. And I don't think it makes sense to have Toronto in the American League. Runner goes. Pitch taken. Throw is high. And the tag by Echeverria over the top of Mookie Betts, who swipes his 14th bag.
They don't steal a lot of bases, but Mookie Betts is one that does. It's his 14th stolen base. What an effort, just missing the tag. You saw how far in the air Echeverria leaps. Betts comes underneath and is able to hang on to the bag, too.
The leap does two things, Tommy. It makes sure he catches the ball, but he has to clear his feet because the slide is right on top of him. If he hangs in there and stays on the ground and reaches for it, you're looking at an injury because the throw is in the baseline. 3-1 to Brock Holt. You got Xander Bogaerts on deck. And here comes Bogaerts, who, as we pointed out, is the best in all of baseball at hitting left-handed pitching.
Couple of things I'm sure JT Real Buto is talking to Nicolino about. And here's a couple of guys that were part of that Southern League Championship team last year in Jacksonville, too. So they're familiar with each other. Probably talk to him, make sure you check the runner. Make sure Betts doesn't get a huge lead. And also maybe going over pitching to Bogaerts again.
Against lefties, all of those guys having great years. Nelson Cruz, Jose Altuve, and Lorenzo Cain in Kansas City. So it's Bogaerts who drilled a single to left. And he takes away. So you're not into the Marlins going into the American League, Blue Jays going into the National League?
No, because then you'd have the DH. You'd be watching the DH.
Not sure Toronto would want to go into the National League. Well, you never know. We can call our buddy Buck Martinez and ask him.
We'll have a survey between Buck Martinez and longtime radio voice Jerry Howard.
I like Paul Emmel's strike call. It's violent, quick, decisive. Just kind of punches the air with that right hand. What he says is nothing close to strike, but whatever it is, it sounds cool. Bounce to short. Echeverria. Gordon got the double play. That's a big double play from Nicolino, who gives up a run, but that's it. It's 1-0 Boston.
Jose Fernandez did meet with us today. They're calling it a bicep tendonitis right in this area here. That is troublesome to put him on the DL today, but he does plan to pitch again, he hopes, this season.
I love pitching. That's what I love to do, and that's what I get myself ready every year. So anytime that I can be on the mound, that's what I like to do. I mean, everything happens for a reason. That's the way that I take things, and you know, it's trying to teach me a lesson, and you know, I'm going to learn from it, and you know, try to be back helping this guy. As long as I'm healthy, I'm coming back. It don't matter to me. It don't matter our record. It don't matter to me. As long as I'm healthy and ready to go, I will come back.
So right now, wait for the inflammation to come down and then see how it feels, and just talk to the doctors, and hopefully everything works well and Jose does return. As he said there, I don't care about the record. If I feel good, I'll be back, and hopefully shorter side than longer. Of course, guys, when you're looking at a 6 weeks remaining, you got to see when that health returns, and if it's mid-September, do you have enough time to get it revved up to get a couple of starts in at the very least? But we'll see. The good news is, I think it was a sense of relief for Jose, feeling that it was just bicep tendonitis and not the shoulder. Guys?
All right, thank you, Craig. Stephen Wright striking out G. Gordon. Marlins in the third with Martin Prado and Derek Dietrich. Now, this is the second time through for Miami's hitters, Tommy Hutton. What have they learned? What have you learned about Stephen Wright?
Well, we've seen a few fastballs, not many. We saw a pitch that we thought was a slider, but it was just a knuckleball that moved a little bit. I think you just have to be ready for one that doesn't move a lot. That sounds easier than it is to do. Martin Prado, another who I talked with around the batting cage about hitting the knuckleball. He likes to be aggressive, likes it when it's up. We saw him chase one his first at bat. But the one thing that we've seen that stands out is that Wright has control of it. A lot of knuckleball pitchers on certain nights can't control it, but he's controlling it.
Prado struck out in the first. 4 strikeouts total. Miami had an opportunity in the second. Cole Gillespie single to right, a walk to Ichiro, an infield hit by Adeiny Echeverria. But no runs. That's a gorgeous knuckler. Started up and in, danced down low.
So you think that's going to be high? Look at that.
Prado bounces it to Bogarts, who throws him out.
Every once in a while, you'll see a pitch that kind of moves away that you think might be a slider, but look at this. He changes the grip a little bit. It was a knuckleball, but it went down, moved away a little.
It's the same ball that Gillespie hit to right. You can see on that pitch, much like the one to Gillespie, the seams actually did tumble 2 or 3 revolutions, which kind of brings the ball down in that curveball arc. Dietrich takes a strike. Quick question. Is Ichiro the only major league player who has his first name on the back of his uniform? I cannot think of another player who does.
Yeah, we've had that question a few times.
That's Laurie from Delray Beach. You have to get special permission from the league to do that. You know, in the 70s, Vida Blue had Vida on the back of his jersey. Across the bay, only for a brief time, San Francisco shortstop Johnny the Master came to the plate with a word that he heard a lot as a player, and that was the word boo on the back of his jersey. Dietrich pulls that one into right field.
I think for a time, Chili Davis was chilling.
That would be super because Chili Davis is the hitting coach. After a long and successful run in Oakland, he's the hitting coach here in Boston. There he is.
Boy, talk about switch hitters who are consistent both sides of the plate.
So you're a power hitter and you're 3 for your last 31. You'd love to see a 90-mile-an-hour fastball. Justin Bour gets a knuckler and he drills it into right for a hit. Dietrich around second, stops there. And Bour, who was searching for a hit, gets one. Back-to-back singles, and here comes Gillespie.
Justin Bour's had a couple of good swings against Wright. Remember the ball he hit just foul up the first baseline his first AB. That time he jumped on a knuckleball and hit it hard. But 86 at bats now for Justin Bour without a home run, so he's still trying to find that long ball stroke.
Gillespie took that tumbling knuckleball and punched it into right field for a hit. His second at bat now comes with 2 outs in the bottom of the 3rd.
I think all in all, they get a couple of hits each of the last 2 innings. The Marlins have had a pretty good approach against Stephen Wright.
Wright did go to the University of Hawaii. He's from Southern California.
I always thought that would be great to jump on that scholarship offer to the University of Hawaii.
They have a terrific baseball program, and there's a lot of talent, as we know.
He was part of their first team that went to a regional back in '06.
Colton Wong, one One of the Rainbow Warriors. Well, Gillespie got that fastball on 3-0. I don't know that he's going to get another one. If he does, let's see if he jumps on it. Missed, and he got that fastball. Bags are loaded now. And it's Real Muto.
So that tells you a little something. You try to file that away. If Wright gets in that situation, and again, a lot of it depends on who the hitter is, but if he gets in that situation falling behind, you may see that fastball.
Real Muto called out on strikes in the second. And as JT admitted on Marlins Live, he's never faced a knuckleballer until tonight.
You don't see many in the minor leagues. I had a tweet earlier as to why don't more minor league pitchers learn it. It's not an easy pitch to learn. If it was, see a lot more at the major league level.
Believe me, every minor league pitcher who doesn't make it to the major leagues at the end of his career has flirted with the idea of coming back as a knuckleball pitcher. Wright is 30. He has spent the better part of 9 years in the minor leagues.
I've told the story with Charlie Huff, who I was with in the minor leagues, and in the off season they basically told him, you're a fringe minor league player, sinker, slider, ball pitcher, and they taught him in instructional league how to throw the knuckleball.
Real Muto to center, Betts is back and there and makes the catch. Boy, he hit it well. And for the second straight inning, Wright leaves the bags loaded. It's a two-game series, and tomorrow's game, remember, is at 4:10. And it's franchise 4 day here. During the game, the Marlins will recognize Miami's franchise 4. And the first 10,000 fans get a franchise 4 poster, courtesy of Star Cash and 123 lump sum. Secure your seats today. Go to Marlins.com.
We'll get a chance, Rich, to chat with the franchise 4 during the telecast tomorrow.
David Ortiz. I can't wait to talk to Gary Sheffield.
Haven't talked to Sheff in a while. What a fearsome hitter he was. He's one of those hitters that put fear into pitchers.
David Ortiz, one of those guys. takes a strike. Here's the schedule for tomorrow. Chef will be in the 3rd.
All right.
Niner will be mic'd up for the ceremony in the 4th inning. Giancarlo Stanton from the dugout will join us in the 5th inning.
Super.
And Mike Lowell's coming in the booth.
That's going to be a nice touch tomorrow. Look forward to that tomorrow.
We get a little Red Sox talk as well from Mikey Lowell.
I wanted to just finish it. Didn't have a chance. The Charlie Huff story. He worked on that pitch in the instructional league, and then to develop that pitch, he credits Tommy Lasorda, because Tommy took him to AAA and pitched him all the time. He started him some games. He brought him in out of the bullpen just so he could get used to throwing that knuckleball.
It's a foul ball. And it counts 2-2.
The bottom line, it's just not an easy pitch to develop.
And it's a very close fraternity, the knuckleballers, who have kind of handed down knowledge from generation to generation. Every time a knuckleballer gets to the big leagues, it seems like he immediately gets the cell numbers of all the knuckleball pitchers that came before him.
Talked about Tim Wakefield, who had a fantastic 17-year run with the Red Sox. Wakefield touched base with Stephen Wright. Tim Wakefield, as a Red Sox pitcher, won 186 games.
Big Papi launches one foul. So Ortiz, Sandoval in the lineup, but no Hanley Ramirez. Wow. The bat heads out to Nicolino, who has the ball roll between his legs, but collects it and gets the out.
There are jam shots and there are jam shots. And you just saw one. Big Papi got sawed off.
Yikes, if you're Nicolino, and he saw the barrel of the bat and kind of stepped out of the way, and the nice thing was the ball led him out of danger's path.
That's a great pitch because it's not a cutter that moves away to a left-handed bat. It actually moved in and sawed off David Ortiz.
Connor has this tweet. Tommy, do you think Hanley Ramirez could move to first or third because he's struggling in left?
Well, I think down the road, Hanley will end up, whenever Big Papi leaves, as the Red Sox designated hitter.
And maybe that's a way you can keep him in the lineup more. Nicolino, a nice job of fielding his position. And he bounces a throw on over to first to get the out. I mean, maybe that takes some of the wear and tear off Hanley, who's been quite injury prone in his time, not only as a member of the Red Sox, but also the Dodgers, also the Marlins. Blake Swihart coming up. Robert wants to know what happens to Derek Dietrich when Giancarlo or Ozuna come back. He's hitting too well to leave on the bench. I would agree. I think a guy like Dietrich needs to play every day for the next 2 months.
I think where he's going to help himself, we could see him spot some games in left field. We could see him play some games at third base. And I think we could see him play some games at first base down the road.
The more positions he can master, the more playing time he's going to get. It's a short. Echeverria to first in time. Nicolino settles in the 4th. Boston and Miami. It's 1-0. Trying to solve Stephen Wright, the knuckleballer. They've had the bases loaded the last 2 innings, but have come up empty. And occasionally he'll throw a fastball in. Tommy, take us through the difference in the 2 pitches.
Well, we got a great look. On the left's the knuckleball. Remember now, it's going to arrive a little later. On the right is the fastball. See the fastball pretty straight, and all the movement in the knuckleball. You can just watch Blake Swihart, the young catcher, try to handle it. So that was a good look at both of those pitches. On the left, the knuckleball, on the right, the fastball. I don't think we've seen a slider tonight.
No, I think you're right. Ichiro walked his first time up. Emails and tweets. Adrian wants to know, do the fans of Marlins Nation believe that the Marlins would have won more games with Giancarlo Stanton in the lineup? Ichiro lines it to left.
Without question. And not only, and you and I, Rich, have talked about this, regardless of what he would have produced, and he would have produced, those around him would have been a little bit better. So yes, they would have won more games.
I think the key word you said there was little bit better. I don't think it puts the Marlins at 500, because when Stanton went down, they were well below 500.
Agree on that, yes.
And Chavarria takes a strike.
We've had questions, many, Chris and many others, about Ozuna. When will the ball club have Ozuna here? Well, Marcell Ozuna was called up, but had to come out of a game, his last game in New Orleans, a little sprain of his wrist. Supposedly not serious, so hopefully within a week he'll be ready to go.
I got any injury news that you want, Tommy Hunt. I was debriefed. Drive to left, pretty well hit. Bradley goes back at the track, at the wall. He leaps and got it. Wow, Jackie Bradley Jr. That is a terrific catch, robbing Echeverria of extra bases.
Well, they can all be happy they're not at Fenway Park. That would have been in the monster seats. Good swing by Echeverria. Long way for Jackie Bradley Jr. and a well-timed leap. And even more difficult when you're in unfamiliar territory. Not sure if Hanley makes that play, if Hanley's playing left field tonight.
You're a funny guy. Yeah,
see Hanley shaking his head. Yeah, I don't make that play.
No, he doesn't. Yeah, that's up against essentially a chain link mesh type fence that's in front of that scoreboard. So that's not an easy thing to leap up against. Flip to left. Bradley handles all 3. 1-0 Boston as we go to the 5th. Your local Chevy dealers. Visit your South Florida Chevy dealers today. By 5-Hour Energy Shots. Have you tried great tasting 5-Hour Energy lately? And by Checkers Epic Meals. Epic deal. Downtown Miami all lit up, as is Marlins Park. Night falling. And a 1-0 lead for the Boston Red Sox. It's a 2-game interleague series, a brief one. 4 o'clock start tomorrow.
Got a good tweet. Shout out to U.S. Army retired John Surinach. Said, watching at Fox Marlins on hashtag Twitter Tuesday with my kids, screaming for at Flash G Jr. and at Christian Yelich.
If you're just joining us, Christian Yelich, you can join us there on both email and on Twitter and Instagram. Christian Yelich was in the lineup to begin the night, but after batting practice, that knee was a little more sore than the Marlins had hoped, and so Yelich, who banged that knee against the Braves, trying to chase down a Johnny Gomes home run. See that right knee go into the wall. Will get tonight off, which will essentially mean 2 days off after what is a right knee contusion.
And trust me, he's available to pinch hit, because you and I saw him taking some cuts in the cage. And if it gets to a situation where Dan Jennings needs a left-handed bat off the bench, Yelich will be ready.
Rusney Castillo, who flied out his first time up, drives one to right. Ichiro in pursuit, makes the catch. Now, I asked you this same question about Stephen Wright early in the ball game. What have you seen? What have you learned about Justin Nicolino at this point?
One thing we knew about him coming up in the minor leagues, not a strikeout guy, and he's done that tonight. He's thrown strikes, hasn't picked up a strikeout. He's walked only one. He's allowed his defense to turn a couple of double plays behind him. We've seen him make a couple of nice plays defensively. He's gotten 10 ground ball out. So that's the kind of pitcher that, for the most part, Justin Nicolino is.
Here's Bradley, who tripled over the head of Gillespie back in the third. And he takes down low. Dwayne has this email. In regards to franchise 4, how in the world is the greatest hitter of this generation, Miguel Cabrera, not on the Marlins franchise 4? He spent 7 years as a Marlin. I had him on my franchise 4, just to make you feel better, Dwayne. Major League Baseball provided the list of players, and Miguel Cabrera made the list, but not the Marlins list. He was on the Tigers list, so you could not vote for him. And Bradley is down, looks like in some pain, so you could only vote for him as a Tiger.
So there's the answer.
There you go, Dwayne.
Hey, I wanted to get back to the catch that Jackie Bradley Jr. made as he tries to recover from this right off the instep. The other thing that made that a terrific play, he's never been in this ballpark before. The last time the Red Sox were here was 2012. Bradley wasn't up with them then. So that's what I meant by unfamiliar territory, making that grab out there.
Hey, Dwayne, you'll be happy to know that Miguel Cabrera made the Tigers franchise 4, and that's not an easy 4 to crack into. Miguel Cabrera is joined by Al Kaline, Ty Cobb, Hank Greenberg. That's pretty heady.
So
company.
really, no current guys, nobody from the 84 or 87 teams.
Not Kirk Gibson,
not a Trammell, not a Whitaker. Wow, that's amazing.
No Morris. But Miggy made it.
He's trying to come back too from a calf strain. He's getting close.
2-2. I noticed on a lot of the franchise 4s there weren't a lot of pitchers, which should draw a phone call in protest from the Major League Pitchers Guild.
Yeah, I think back at the choices for the Marlins, and I'm wondering, was Dontrell even a choice? Can't remember. But you're right, very, very few pitchers.
Three-two, bouncer, Bohr, and it just gets by his glove into right field. Big man reached for it, but it scooted by him. Second hit for Bradley. And it looks like, Tommy, his big day on Sunday has rubbed off on him.
Well, here's a crazy stat. It jumps out at you, and Jackie Bradley's 2 for 2 tonight. So on the year, remember, he hasn't been up a lot. He's 8 for 20 against lefties, but just 3 for 43 against right-handed pitchers.
Wright looking to push Bradley to second. Mario has this email. Any thoughts of converting Giancarlo Stanton into a first baseman in an effort to prolong his career?
No. Flat out no. We had the help, Rich, of a lot of crack staffers in the booth tonight. Talking about franchise fours. Cy Young has an award named after him and did not make the Boston franchise four.
Who is Boston's franchise four?
Well, you got to throw Ted Williams.
Yastrzemski. There's the bunt. Nicolino to first in time.
Ted Williams, Carl Yastrzemski, Pedro Martinez, and Big Papi.
Ah, Big Papi. Every weeknight, MLB Whip Around on Fox Sports 1. Highlights, instant analysis, and live look-ins from around the league. MLB Whip Around airs weeknights 7 Eastern. Fox Sports 1. It streams live on Fox Sports Go. Realmuto out for a visit. This is a guy that Justin Nicolino has yet to get out. Mookie Betts has singled twice, and he drove in the only run of the ball game in the third. Jackie Bradley Jr. at second. 2 outs in the fifth.
Tricky Rick has a tweet. Wants to know what was wrong with the audio in Atlanta. It sounded like you guys were talking in a funnel. Tricky, I think it's time to upgrade your TV.
There you go, on the offensive. Or the defensive, I guess. Or both. That one is outside. That's 3-0.
It's out of our control.
Now, were we talking in a tunnel or a funnel?
Funnel, he said.
Through a funnel in a tunnel. Now, Nicolino obviously is being careful with Betts. There's a strike.
Yeah, you have the left-hander who he's handled, and Betts 2 for 2 tonight.
Hit hard and by Prado, and that'll produce another run. Betts isn't stopping. Oh, what a night for Betts. He's already 3 for 3, and he's driven in both Boston runs. That's a double.
Rethinking that over again, I'm sure Justin Nicolino would have liked to have made a better pitch, especially with the left-handed bat of hold on deck. This ball eats up Martin Prado. And you're right, Betts with quite an evening.
Brock Holt. Oh, and 1.
I'm not even going to consider what the scoring was on that E5 because I've already put double an RBI in my book. So
I'm confident it will change. In the air. Echeverria makes the catch. The Mookie Betts show has been impressive tonight. It's 2-0 Boston.
Your favorite players on Twitter. You can find some of your favorite players on Instagram. Giancarlo Stanton is on both of those social media platforms. And recently on Instagram, he had a chance to repost a picture from Kusewera, which is an organization that sponsors sports and creative activities in African orphanages. And guys, not only is it cool to see that Stanton shirt and the Marlins be a part of that, but it's also awesome to see Big G bring awareness to such a great cause through social media.
Sure is, Jessica. Thank you for that. 11,000 likes on that retweet. Stephen Wright, third time through for D. Gordon, Martin Prado, Derek Dietrich.
You know, Rich, there have been a lot of oopses on social media, but there are a lot of really good things too.
There's a strike. We always get an email, and we look forward to this one because he has such great knowledge of New England and all things Red Sox from Jim. Jim wants to know, what's your favorite line by Stephen Wright, the comedian? His is, you can't have everything. Where would you put it? Now, Stephen Wright is a very sublime and dry-witted comedian and a Boston Red Sox fan. Cambridge, Massachusetts. So there you go.
Our producer telling us his favorite line: somebody robbed my house and replaced everything with an exact replica.
Here's Prado.
And I have a good tweet here with some questions. Xavier wants to know 3 questions. what's going to happen to Casey McGee next year? Are the fences coming in? And what do you think so far of Nicolino and Urania?
This is only, let's take the bottom first. This is only start number 3 for Nicolino. And I think what you see tonight, you've got to like.
I think from just seeing the two, we did see flashes from Urania, but it looks like Nicolino's a little more advanced to pitch at this level. But I think Urania certainly will. As far as Casey McGee, you know, you'd like to see him get base hits. He's a guy who you could play at first, at third, not on an everyday basis. He's a veteran, certainly good in the clubhouse. So we'll see what the Marlins decide.
Three-two coming.
And we have read where there is some consideration in some realigning, changing of the fences.
I think they come in. I think they come in. There was a question earlier, I didn't read it, but since you touched upon it, someone wanted to know which hitter in Major League Baseball has the best chance to break the home run record in terms of season home run record. And I think that's Giancarlo Stanton if the fences do come in a bit. Prado walks. And that brings up Derek Dietrich. Midsummer Classic coming to Miami. Sign up to receive ticketing updates, breaking news, and all information relating to the Major League Baseball All-Star Game. All-Star Week events will be held at Marlins Park and all over Miami. South Beach especially will be a great setting for that. That's July of 2017. Marlins.com/ASG. Here's Derek Dietrich. That one pops out of the glove of Blake Swihart. Really unfair for a catcher at the end of the year when people compare defensive metrics and say, oh, how many pass balls? How was he at framing? If the guy has to catch a knuckleballer every 5 days.
Yeah, he's more than likely going to lead the league in pass balls. And you're right, it's unfair.
Which that one was, a pass ball. Dietrich swings and misses. You really have to like the numbers for Dietrich. He's 1 for 2 tonight. He came in with a .362 on base and a .504 slugging percentage. 7 homers, 7 doubles. I know it's not a full season of work, but it's encouraging to see that Dietrich has mastered a few things. One, pinch hitting. He's been a guy that has had some key pinch hits for the Marlins. And coming off the bench and producing.
And I'm not going to throw in that he's mastered left field, but he's grown, I think, a little more comfortable out there, having never played it before.
That one fouled back. League average for slugging percentage is .392. So if you're up in the mid 400s, you're doing some damage. If you're in the 500s, you're having a nice year, really nice year.
By the way, see if he gets another fastball. He got a 3-1 fastball.
Dietrich pulls that one down the line. Rusney Castillo in the corner makes the catch. Tagging is Prado, and he arrives at third.
He didn't get the fastball, but had a pretty good swing. Made that exciting.
Sal wants to know, Tommy, what do you think of a good nickname for Justin Bour? How about Boog, as in Boog Powell? No, you can't give that nickname out.
Yeah,
our buddy Boog already has that.
Yeah, it's been taken. Yeah, it's been taken. Tell you what, though, Justin Bour's had 2 good at-bats tonight against Wright.
Big Bad Bour. Now, that's a pretty good nickname. See, I think Boog is better with Boog, and Big Bad Bour is better with Bour, because I don't think Big Bad Shambi works. Craig, you've got more on Justin Bour.
Standing next to Casey McGee when the guys came out for BP, he looked up at Justin and said, "Hey, your swing tonight, good for this guy." Justin said, "Well, yeah." He said, "I like your matchup against the knuckleballer." So far, so good.
And he singled in the 3rd, just missed extra bases. He saw a fastball there on 3-0, and he walks. Well, the Marlins have had plenty of base runners in this one. Left them loaded in the 2nd, left them loaded in the 3rd. Got him at the corners here.
It's interesting because Stephen Wright is at 94 pitches. You tend to look at a knuckleball pitcher a little differently, and it might not be as high as it would be for a regular pitcher. Right now he's getting a visit from Carl Willis' pitching coach, and he's not going to be in there that much longer. But then it's an adjustment for the Marlins to whoever else comes in.
Now Gillespie. Another strike.
Just like that. After a visit from his pitching coach, quickly 0-2.
Little tapper, and Wright gets the out at first, and the Marlins leave 2 more. 5 innings have passed here in Marlins Park, Boston, 2-0. Cast Presented by the Authority. The Miami Marlins may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. Accounts descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. Casey McGee doing a little work, shaving down the bat. A lot of guys will do that. They'll shave a little bit of diameter off the handle, just kind of like a little sander razor. Pulls up pieces of wood, cut a little of that off, get yourself a little thinner handle, and away you go.
And then take it out there and hope you don't get jammed on the first pitch.
Xander Bogaerts singled and bounced into a double play. Nicolino stays away, and it's a ball and a strike. In baseball tonight, we've had our nose in emails and tweets. The Braves and the Rays are scoreless. The bottom of the 7th. Mets and Rockies are scoreless. Bottom of the 6th. Rockies have just 3 hits against Matt Harvey. Nationals are out west to face the Dodgers. Liner to right. Boy, he continues to swing a hot bat against lefties. 2 for 3 for the leading hitter in baseball against left-handers. So I had a trend on this date. The Boston Red Sox go back to that World Championship in 2013. They were 71-49. Last year, Boston was 71-91 and finished in the basement of the East. If their current standing holds, they'll be in last place at the end of this year. I think getting their pitching healthy is probably the #1 thing for the Red Sox. Heck, for the Marlins too.
You think of the Marlins rotation at the beginning of the season. Tom Kohler remains. That's it. Anderson Alvarez. Remember, Latos was injured early on. Jared Kozart on the disabled list.
The news on Kozart is actually encouraging. He's throwing bullpens now, and it sounds like in a week or so he should be able to go out and throw some rehab games. I think for everybody, Stanton, Kozart, anybody that is going to need rehab games, it's good that you can get them in now, because that's one of the issues when you get into September. The minor leagues stop playing, and it's not easy to find at bats and reps for guys in a game situation.
And I hope we do see, and I think it's important that we see Jared Kozart for a few starts to just get an idea and assess what the ball club can have next year.
I asked Michael Hill that very question about Kozart, about Giancarlo Stanton, about Jose Fernandez. 3-0 pitch. Ortiz hits it hard and through Gordon into right. Ichiro picks it up. Bogaerts arrives at third.
Now, if we keep with our scoring tonight, they'll probably give D. Gordon an error. And it shouldn't be.
It's a base hit.
Well, then the other one's a hit, too. Tough play. D. Gordon, you saw his reaction. He wanted to catch this ball, but it was hit sharply by David Ortiz.
There's Pablo Sandoval. And Michael Hill made the same point with those players. If they're healthy, you want them on the field and you want them playing. Ball skips away. Real Muto has it. Nicolino's not at the plate. Bogart scores. Ortiz at second. And it's 3-0.
Great
Boston.
jump from third by Xander Bogaerts. Ball skipped away. I don't know if Real Muto had a play, but when he looked up, Nicolino wasn't close to the plate. I think he backed off as soon as he saw Bogaerts where he was. That's why. Just a good jump by Bogaerts.
So a wild pitch plates the run.
Can we say, and Big Papi motored on to second base too?
Sure. That pop-up is fouling out of play. The reason Michael Hill said if the players are healthy, you want them on the field. You need to know if there's any lingering issues. You need to know that going into the offseason so that you're not counting on someone for 2016 and there's an issue that you didn't discover in September.
Absolutely. You certainly want to see Jose Fernandez, and if he has 3-4 starts, 2 or 3, whatever it is, and he finishes strong, it's a good sign. Even if he doesn't, if there's some lingering effects, at least you know, and you know what to prepare for and what his off season will bring. You'd rather find that out in September than in March or during spring training.
Yeah. We had that nice email from Jim a while back. He actually had a variety of questions, and one of those was with Justin Nicolino, Adam Conley, and Jose Urena. Here's the 2-2. Sandoval to center. Gillespie is there. He makes the catch. When they are in the rotation, Urena comes back, and say Cozart rejoins. Would you make it a 6-man rotation just to protect? I mean, guys like Conley and Nicolino are probably going to hit their career high in innings.
You mean this year?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a possibility this year. And by the way, we were looking back with Adam Conley going tomorrow night. The last time the Marlins had 3 left-handers start games in a row was back in May of '08. Andrew Miller, Scott Olson, and Mark Hendrickson.
Blake Swihart, the hitter, and he yanks one foul. Nice play down there. Short hop pick. Jim also adds some bonus questions. Rich, can you do an inning in a Boston accent? And does Lemon the dog have a Twitter account yet?
We'll have to check with Jessica on that.
Lemon the dog that famously growled at Craig incessantly.
Yeah, she does not have a Twitter account yet because I'm afraid of her getting more followers than me. That's about as honest as I can be.
Yeah, it's at Vicious.
Not Sid, but Lemon the dog. Well played, Craig.
And well played by Cole Gillespie, too.
2 outs. Here comes Castillo, and here comes the data strong fan of the game, Carly. Way to go, Carly. Brought to you by T-Mobile. Marlins photo booth out there. I have not been to the Marlins photo booth. Have you, Tommy?
We've not been asked.
Jackie Bradley, or excuse me, Rusney Castillo up there now, and he fouls it back. Pitch fly to left, line to right. Red Sox have an arm up, and probably for two reasons.
Ryan Cook getting loose.
First and foremost, Wright is 2 hitters away, even though there's 2 outs. Torey Lovullo, who's in the dugout. And we assume John Farrell's in the office. Again, the skipper of the Red Sox, hope he has a speedy recovery from the surgery yesterday.
I think also Dan Jennings would like to see Nicolino get through this 6th inning.
Breaking ball, right center field. That's trouble in the gap. Rusney Castillo's got extra bases, and he's got himself a triple, and Boston has their 4th run. Boy, the young Red Sox are really shining tonight. Jackie Bradley Jr. a 2-hit night. Mookie Betts a 3-hit night. Bogarts has 2 hits.
You're right. This is a game, Rich, that Red Sox fans can take a hold of and say, look, they've got some young players. They're performing well tonight. It just mentioned that Dan Jennings wanted to see, I'm sure, Nicolino get through this inning. Not going to happen after that triple by Castillo. First career triple for Rusney Castillo.
Ciego de Avila, Cuba. That's where Rusney Castillo is from. Kendall Toyota called to the bullpen. Give way to Kyle Barraclough. Barraclough up from Double-A, made his major league debut on the 7th.
It was a good one. Solid inning. Showed us a good power arm.
That was in Atlanta. Barraclough coming over from the Cardinals. Was the Double-A closer for the Cardinals. That was in the Steve Cishek trade.
Patrick has a tweet that tough season. Didn't see this typical year coming. Is an additional proven starter a possibility for 2016? I would say absolutely yes.
I don't think it's a possibility. I think it's a necessity.
Yeah, that's even better.
Barraclough throws hard. 96, misses out to Jackie Bradley Jr. Hanley Ramirez is making an appearance on deck. That one fouled back. Bradley a triple and a single. Has scored a couple runs.
Betts 3 for 3. A couple of RBIs, stolen base. Bogarts, a couple of hits.
To left, Dietrich makes the catch. And Barraclough gets out of the 6th, but Boston's lead is now 4-0.
On an email and a Twitter Tuesday, and how about this one from Ben? He's having a pretty good night. Not only did he get to come to a Marlins game, but he got to meet his favorite player of all time in Jeff Conine. On top of that, Niner was kind enough to sign a baseball for him, and not just any baseball, it's his ball from the 95 All-Star Game. And guys, you mentioned this earlier, you see that franchise 4 hashtag. Congrats again to Jeff Conine for making that list. Now, if we could just get him on Twitter.
We're working on it. We're working on it.
Baby steps. Stephen Wright into his 6th inning of work. The knuckleballer has been difficult to score against. Franchise 4 tomorrow. Jeff Conine, Giancarlo Stanton, Mike Lowell, Gary Sheffield. They'll all be featured. Poster giveaway for fans. Giancarlo will join us from the dugout. Gary Sheffield, Mike Lowell in the booth. Jeff Conine will be mic'd up for the ceremony. A poster for all the fans of the Marlins Franchise 4.
And remember, a 4 o'clock game. Marlins live at 3:30.
That's a good point, Tommy.
Just wanted to remind. I didn't want you to be late.
Real Muto solves the knuckleball.
And that's one way to solve it.
Does not get it.
Is to hit a fastball. That's exactly right. He got in a 3-1 count with a 4-0 lead for the Red Sox. He was ready for it.
Yeah, it was a fastball. Not a fast fastball.
A straight ball.
Barely 80. So Real Muto opens with a double. Ichiro Echeverria to follow. We have an email from Scruffy and Holmes. Apparently Holmes is off tonight. Scruffy handling the emailing duties. After a poor start, so many injuries in 2015. Scruffy wants to know, frontline starter and some bullpen help, would the Marlins be a contender? Your thoughts on this?
I think they need a little offense too.
I would agree.
I mean, that's good. That's a good start. Bullpen help. Frontline starter.
I think you need a bat or two. I think it would help if that guy got on base at a pretty good clip.
Keep in mind, too, your hope as you look ahead is that Marcell Ozuna rebounds to the type of year he had last year.
Detroit trots down first. Here's Echeverria. Infield hit and hit a deep fly ball out in the fourth.
What, 5 walks, and that's going to cost Stephen Wright here because the call to the bullpen has already been made.
5 walks, 4 strikeouts, and a 4-0 lead. Kendall Toyota called to the pen. This is the first of, and that man Stephen Wright trying to make a spot for himself in the big leagues. Long minor league career. This is the 3rd season he's had a bit part with the Red Sox, and coming off a win over the Yankees in which he was really good. 8 innings, 9 strikeouts. He backs it up so far with 5 scoreless innings, but he is responsible for runners first and second. And Ryan Cook takes over.
Yeah, Ryan Cook actually just a recent Red Sox player. He was acquired from Oakland at the trading deadline July 31st. For a player to be named later. Went to Pawtucket, AAA affiliate of the Red Sox, and has just joined Boston here.
Echeverria now. The single has flied out. Casey McGee is on deck. Edge to right. Rusney Castillo. It's a foul ball, but caught. And moving up to third is Realmuto. It's a strong throw. Ichiro held first. We see the alert base running. We've seen it all year from JT Realmuto. He has the speed, but he also is a good base runner, tagging up on that fly ball. Here's McKee. Ryan Cook, Casey McGee at the corners, 1 out. And a strike. Remember McGee in the dugout shaving down the handle of the bat, and that's the same bat. Bouncer. Holt. And Big Papi stays on the bag. The run scores. Miami has a run. The Red Sox have 2 outs. McGee robbed of a hit.
But Casey was trying to find that hole over there. Just about did, if not for Brock Holt reaching out. Papi with the grab and stays on the bag, but an RBI and a run.
Ichiro remains at second. Here's D. Gordon. An 0 for 3 for Gordon. It would be nice to see Gordon get hot the rest of August into September and make a run at a batting title. Paul Goldschmidt started play at 338. Bryce Harper, Buster Posey, and Gerardo Parra are in front of Gordon. Takes up. Gordon at 324.
How about the American League leader, Jason Kipnis? Kipnis and Fielder and Nelson Cruz all just a point apart.
Fastball up and in. Gordon floats that one foul out of play. The Mets have the first run against the Rockies. The Nationals and the Dodgers will start later on tonight. The Mets came from behind, won that game last night. A game and a half is the lead in the East to start things. Yankees a game and a half up over Toronto in the American League East. The Yankees tied 2-2 with Cleveland in the 8th. We told you Toronto's up 4-1 over Oakland, bottom 7. Have they lost a game with Tulowitzki in the starting lineup?
I don't think so.
D. Gordon in the gap right center field. That'll chase home Ichiro. Played nicely in center by Mookie Betts. And an RBI single by Gordon. He may not be at first base long.
Boy, good job by both Casey McGee and now D. Gordon getting a couple of runs in. A little bit more to the right, and that ball finds a gap, and he's at third base. But nice play by Mookie Betts out there in center to get over and cut it off and hold Gordon to the single. I got a tweet while there's a mound visit here, Rich, from Dave. Scotty Vaughn and Dave. Should Dan Jennings go back to the front office next year, do you think he'll have a bigger appreciation for managers?
Well, first, let's address the first part of that. There have been reports that Jennings is contemplating going back to the front office. There's nothing been confirmed by Jennings or the Marlins. And I asked him that very question about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and he said absolutely. A much deeper understanding of the importance of the position, the difficulties of the position. Gordon at first, Cook, to Prado.
Dave, who had that question, by the way, a craft draft beer technician. So nicely done, Dave.
Always breaks the ice at parties.
Yeah.
That one skips by. Gordon will get to second. Remember, you got Big Papi at first. Not a guy that's used to playing a lot of first base as of late.
I think if you're a pitcher, you have to realize that too.
Ball was low.
And not a good throw at all from Cook.
And there were a lot of first basemen that aren't going to get that.
You bet. You bet.
So an opportunity here to make this a one-run game.
Most of the hitters now, especially the ones who struggle against right, just happy to see a more conventional pitcher out there.
Martin Prado stays alive. Both runs end up on Stephen Wright's line. Ryan Cook throws the fastball by Prado at 95. Miami gets 2, cuts the lead in half. Headed to the 7th. The Red Sox up 4-2. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. Visit us at Publix.com. And by Orkin, pest control down to a science. Science. 4-2, Boston. 7th inning. Red Sox fans, many have come over from the west coast of Florida to see the Red Sox here.
Yeah, you think of it too. Think of the games over the past few years up in spring training in Jupiter, Roger Dean Stadium. The Red Sox games usually the best attended, even though the Red Sox haven't always had a lot of stars make the trip. Kendry Flores comes in for the 4th time this year.
A variety of tweets filtering in. Dave inviting you for a nice craft beer during the off season. As we mentioned craft beers.
Always
Cliff
up for that.
Cliff said, did someone mention donuts? That was Bear Claw that pitched last. And TJ wants to give a shout out to 2 Marines, Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, Valvarez and TJ. Always happy to give a shout out to the troops. Here's how to find us tonight. You can email us the old-fashioned way, foxmarlins@gmail.com. That's better for long form. If you just have a quick burst at Fox Marlins, Instagram, and Twitter.
So we have a new pitcher, Kendry Flores, a pinch hitter, Alejandro Diaz.
A former Marlin.
See, Dave's going to have to pull me away from the Twisted Trunk or Tequesta Brewery, though, to get me for the craft beer down
So
here.
that's how you spend your offseason. 1-1 pitch.
Good changeup.
And Bear Claw came in and finished the 6th. This was a Justin Nicolino start. 8 hits, 4 runs, all earns, 5 2/3. On a hop, Bohr has it. Steps on the bag. Variety of suites located behind home plate and along first base line can be rented for just 1 game. They accommodate groups from 16 to 70 guests. Upscale contemporary furnishing. Features great food and beverage options. 1-877 Marlins. Go to marlins.com/groups. Look at the wine. See now that why can't we get that in the booth? Why can't we get the nice furnishings and the catered dinners, the white tablecloth service? Craft beers. We don't get that up here.
Yeah. It's always so close, yet so far away.
Ichiro makes the catch. Mookie Betts, who has had a busy night. By the way, that Betts double in the 5th, which was ruled an error, is now officially a double.
Just stick with me on those, Rich.
Oh, look, I had double all the way.
I know you did.
No,
I checked.
No liquid paper needed. Or liquid paper tape. What do they call the correction tape? Dating myself back to college term papers and liquid paper.
Good pitches so far by Flores. Come in, got a couple of quick outs.
Brock Holt is up. I think our cricket is back. You hear that in your ears, Tommy Hutton?
I do not hear it. I'm trusting you in that. You have younger ears.
That one foul back to the screen. We were able to chase them out back in 2012.
By the way, I think it's nice to have Kendry Flores, and you don't know down the road what his role is going to be, because as a starting pitcher, do the ball well in AAA. Working out of the bullpen here.
And he throws it well here in the 7th. 7th inning stretch, 2-run game. Boston on top of Miami. car in and out of traffic, Tommy Hutton. Eduardo Rodriguez going for the Red Sox. Adam Conley, another lefty. Third straight lefty start for the Fish. Remember, it's a 3:30 pregame show for Marlins Live, 4 o'clock. Here at Sport 2, bottom 7. Red Sox deeper into their bullpen. And remember, the outset of the telecast, we talked about Koji Uehara, their closer, is out with a broken bone in his wrist.
Yeah, he was hit by a line drive. Uehara with 25 saves. Good cotton candy tonight in this Red Sox series.
Dietrich takes fastball at the letters. Justin Bour, Cole Gillespie will follow. So Lane, the lefty, gets a pair of left-handed bats to open the 7th. The right-hander is ready in Boston's bullpen as well. So he may well be in there for just the 2 hitters.
Well, and you see why with his delivery. Herky-jerky. Got a 3/4. When you're a hitter, you just have to try to focus on picking up the ball and not looking at all the other stuff.
He's a short strider as well. He didn't take much of a stride. Very upright.
It's not as sidearm as you would expect or think.
You know, that's one thing, as you watch Derek Dietrich play more and more, one thing of value is you see the stride. Very upright delivery. Dietrich gets on base, and that's something the Marlins desperately need more of.
So he gets hit a lot. He stands on top of the plate. He draws walks.
His on base percentage about .375 right now. Now Bour. Pitches in. All right, this is an interesting email from Mark and Jeremy. This looks like rapid fire, make your pick. So I'll be Art Linkletter or whoever you want, and you be the guy. All right?
Well, I'm going to be the little kid.
Yeah, you're the little kid. All right, closed or open stadium?
Open.
Real or artificial? Turf.
Oh, real.
Chuck Carr, D. Gordon.
D. Gordon.
Santiago, Real Muto.
Too early in Real Muto's career to pick JT, so I'll go with Benito.
Who, incidentally, was just inducted into the Padres Hall of Fame, along with Gary Templeton. Orestes versus Adaney.
Adaney. No offense, Orestes, over the other coast.
Barbary versus McGee.
Ooh. Is that Casey McGee or Willie McGee?
Casey McGee.
I've seen Casey more than Brett Barbary.
Right now, this lefty having trouble finding the plate. He's fallen behind 3-1.
Interesting shift. When you look at the right side, it's find the panda.
Justin Bour walks, so back-to-back walks. Tommy Lane.
That's a manager's nightmare. You bring in the lefty to face 2 lefties, and he walks both of them.
And I don't think he'll hit to face the right.
Carl
Carl Willis, the pitching coach. Torey Lovullo running the club tonight. John Farrell, we believe, is in the dugout. In fact, Hunt, you ought to call down there just to see if he's in.
Check with some of our contacts in the clubhouse.
Kendall Toyota called to the bullpen. Tomorrow at 4, the Marlins franchise 4. Red Sox and Marlins play at 4 o'clock, and we will have all 4 of Miami's franchise 4 here and on our telecast. Even Gary Sheffield. Even Giancarlo Stanton. Jeff Conine, Mike Lowell, all 4 here tomorrow. Here tonight, Boston a 4-0 lead. Miami cut it in half in the 6th, and in the 7th, the Marlins have runners first and second and nobody out. Cole Gillespie against Alexi Ogando, the hard-throwing Boston reliever. And he shorts the bunt and pops it foul to the screen. Ogando, a Texas Ranger up until last year. There's the bunt. It's a good one. Ogando backhands, throws off balance, and pulls Holt off the bag. Everybody is safe. Pablo Sandoval should have fielded that ball. It sounded like he was calling for it.
Yeah, once a pitcher gets it, you can see his momentum taking him toward the line. It's going to be a difficult play. Nicely executed. You can hear the catcher, Swihart, saying 1-1. It's going to be a base hit. Cole Gillespie with a great job. Would have been bang bang, but very close. And just like that, nobody out. The bases are loaded because of a nicely executed bunt by Cole Gillespie.
Ogando misses outside. JT Realmuto, who doubled his last time up. He had been 3 for his last 28 before that double. Infield looks for 2. There's nobody out. Liner to right field. Good jump there. Castillo makes the catch, and no one can score. Boy, JT Realmuto all year long has led the Marlins in a stat kept by the coaching staff, and that is hard hit outs, and that is a hard hit out.
Boy, this is just a good stroke, too. if the runner at third base, Dietrich goes back immediately. He doesn't score. Just tough luck. JT Realmuto hit that ball well.
Now Ichiro. Ichiro to right field and deep. Castillo back at the track, makes the catch. Everybody tags. A run will score. Bohr gets to third. Gillespie holds at first, and Ichiro muscles up.
I tell you what, Ichi just missed a grand slam. He went up there with a purpose to get a pitch to pull and get it in the air. He opens up quickly. There it is. He's not going to slash and dash on that swing. And he just missed a grand slam. But in hitting the fly ball deep enough, he gets a run in and also advances Bohr over to third.
So a one-run game now. And here's Echeverria. Oh, ball in the dirt. Swihart, who has changed gloves, obviously, since Stephen Wright exited, just snared it.
That's a nice play by Swihart.
That's 1-0. Ogando, who spent the first 4 years of his professional career as an outfielder in Oakland's organization. Again, he misses outside. Strike. 96 miles an hour. Fox traps. That's perfect pitch. It just has enough of the corner and just has enough of the knees. Wow. 96-mile-an-hour fastball. Echeverria swings and misses. Miami has to settle for a run. They need 2 more. And it's a one-run game now. Off with a right knee contusion. Suffered on Sunday trying to climb the wall in the Johnny Gomes home run in Atlanta. It was 4-0. The Red Sox built that lead, and Miami has chipped away. Henry Flores back out for his second inning. He went 1-2-3 his first inning. It's Xander Bogaerts, David Ortiz, Pablo Sandoval.
Yeah, he gets the meat of the order. You have to really like the at-bats the Marlins put together tonight.
Strike to Bogaerts. Xander Bogaerts, 2 for 3, part of that great invasion of Dutch infielders. The Netherlands Antilles. Poppy, a little salute. Andrelton Simmons, the Marlins just saw a bunch of him. Jurickson Profar, Charlotte Scope. Bogaerts a mean rip.
Always one of their top prospects coming up in the organization.
D.D. Gregorius also from that area.
But with the Yankees now, they get to match up a few times during the year. Bogaerts and Gregorius. Mike Dunn gets loose.
Flores gets the strikeout. We apologize for the strikeout and the word that follows.
Well, he speaks many languages.
Yes, he does. That was not in Papiamento, by the way. Here's David Ortiz, and his trip to the plate interrupted by Dan Jennings on his way out. So Flores retires all 4 that he faces. And it's Mike Dunn that pitches to David Ortiz. Kendall Toyota called to the pen.
One out, and Mike Dunn is on the mound. You know, only one other Marlins reliever has been on the hill more as a Marlin than Mike Dunn in franchise history. That guy is Braden Looper, who from 99 to 2003 was on the hill there 368 times. This is Dunn's 332nd appearance. I asked him about it What it means, he says, you know what? It means a lot. First of all, I prepare for 81 games a year, and I've been healthy, able to stay off the DL my entire stint, which started here in 2011. He's got 19 wins. He says, not always great. This year's been a little rocky for him. The ERA has gone up, but my preparation, he said, I've changed my pitching style, and now I start pitching before Thanksgiving, so I get that arm ready for action a little bit earlier, and I've been healthy, knock on wood. 332 appearances for Mike Dunn, 50 this year.
That's quite a list. There's some interesting names on there.
That's a tough call for manager. It's one that sometimes makes fans crazy. You had Kendry Flores out there, I know, with a lot less experience than Mike Dunn. I know that. And Flores a right-hander. But he was in a groove, and he was throwing the ball really well. And he's a starting pitcher, so for an inning in the third, he certainly isn't tired. So he comes out in favor of the lefty-lefty matchup. Love it or hate it.
You got Pablo Sandoval on deck, who is not switch hitting. That one popped back up here. There's Sandoval.
I would imagine Rich managers thought about a move such as this differently when Sandoval was a switch hitter. When he was switch hitting.
Another pop-up. This could be a long run if it's playable. With the shifts, Echeverria was well over towards second.
See, though, the struggles of David Ortiz this year, especially against lefties.
Big Poppy to 500. 489 right now.
I think the way the year started for him, people weren't thinking he'd get there this year. But he's picked things up. You talked about it earlier. 17 home runs over his last 50 games.
And he strikes him out. Mike Dunn against Ortiz, who lost his bat. Popped the chain and hits back to the dugout.
Just a good old fastball. Got it by the 39-year-old slugger.
Sandoval hits a mammoth pop-up. Board tracking it. And he makes the catch. Just like that, Mike Dunn. Nice, tidy 2 outs for a 1-2-3-8. school Jim Rice look and a new school Marlins red, orange, and black cap. Whether he follows the Marlins or the Red Sox, he can follow every major league team on MLB.TV Premium. Every out-of-market game live in HD. There's got to be well over 400. We're probably pushing 500 devices by now. And of course, you get a pitch tracking widget with every order. For details, go to Marlins.com. Now this kid's the opposite. Got a Stanton jersey and a Sox hat.
See, I always thought that was a good way to go. If you live in South Florida and you have an American League team you root for, and you live here, you root for the Marlins. I always thought that's a good way to go.
Now, when you were a kid, were you rooting for the Angels and the Dodgers? I know the Angels didn't arrive until your teen years.
Yeah, the Dodgers first off because they were there first. I followed the Angels a little bit. Listen to Dick Enberg.
Oh, my. Miguel Rojas leads it off. And the Red Sox have made a couple of changes on the mound and at first base. Gene Machi.
A little double switch. Travis Shaw is the first baseman, so he hits in the nice spot. Machi comes in and hits in Ortiz's spot.
Gene Machi. Rojas in the 9th spot, and you got D. Gordon, Martin Prado. Marlins down a run. When we asked who was going to close tonight for the Boston Red Sox, remember we told you the injury to Koji Uehara. Dennis Eckersley, who knows a thing or two about closing, thought maybe Gene Machi would close. Junichi Tazawa, also a candidate to close. Maybe Eck could close.
Yeah, the Hall of Famer, Dennis Eckersley.
Does he have the best hair in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, by far.
Or as he would say, the best moss?
Best moss. Working with Don Orsillo. Machi was claimed off waivers. Of course, we've seen him over the last few years working out of Bruce Bochy's bullpen with the Giants.
His ERA north of 5 with the Giants in 33 games. Gordon holds up, counts 2-0. Marlins would love to get D. Gordon on here, let him run a little bit. Down a run, bottom 8. This was a 4-0 Boston lead at one point. Chopper, Shaw just in the game. A nice short hop pick.
And does not get an easy play on his first attempt.
A.J. Ramos. Now Prado. An 0 for 3 for Prado. Zawa is a right-handed pitcher, and if he is closing in the 9th, keep in mind that Christian Yelich is available to pinch hit. Prado lines it in the gap. Betts can't get it. It's by him, and it rolls to the track, and Prado's got a double. What Mookie Betts has got plenty of speed, and it looked for a moment like he'd get to it. A 2-out double.
Yeah, it's one of the things we talk about all the time, Rich. Playing this outfield, you have to have speed, and the Red Sox outfield tonight does with Bradley, Betts, and Castillo. And again, this ball gets by Betts to the wall. Martin Prado's able to get to third.
So here's Dietrich, who is 1 for 3. Meanwhile, in the East tonight, the Mets are shutting out the Rockies 4-0. Nationals are in Los Angeles tonight.
Matt
Ninth inning. Yeah, ninth inning score.
Yeah, Matt Harvey started for the Mets.
Harvey went 8. 4 strikeouts, 4 hits, no runs, no walks. A Stephen Wright start for Boston. The knuckleballer went 5, was charged with 2. Dietrich has banged out 7 homers. 7 doubles. And that's in less than 120 at bats.
Well, he's been productive. There's no question about it. He's also got himself in a good hitting count here, 3-1.
Gene Machi, 4th man out of Boston's pen tonight. John Farrell back at the team hotel. Torey Lovullo running the club. That pitches in, and Dietrich walks. And now Justin Bour gets a crack at Machi.
So Dietrich tonight with a single, 2 walks. Been on base 3 times. 1 for 3 night.
Carl Willis, former Twins pitching coach.
That's a season high 8 walks that the Marlins have drawn tonight. With that walk to Dietrich, Justin Bour's also walked a couple of times in singles.
So it's Bour with 2 outs and 2 on. Into the bat. Sandoval. It's out of play.
Safe to say the big guy Justin Bour is due. Bour's last home run, as you watch the attempt by Sandoval, was July 3rd at Wrigley Field, and that completed that run of 4 consecutive games in which he homered. So it's been a while.
He's been stuck on 10 for over a month. Machi misses in.
Good numbers in that 2-out with runners in scoring position situation.
Oh, outside corner. You saw Bour's head snap back.
Perfect pitch. Perfect pitch.
Prado at second. Dietrich at first. Hopper to second. Holt handles and gets the out. And Gene Machi escapes the 8th. Miami leaves 2 more. 4-3. That's 13 left on the night. Crowd of just over 30,000 here. Geico Marlins moments. On this date in 2005, Mike Lowell, who had done it earlier in his career, executes a hidden ball trick against Arizona.
Fooled everybody. Broadcasters, obviously the other team. We'll have to talk to Mikey Lowell about that tomorrow night, if we remember.
Well, Mike Lowell in the building.
He's in the house tonight.
Well, he's working both sides of the aisle, right? He won a world championship with the Red Sox and with the Marlins.
Looking fit as a fiddle.
Yes, he does. He will join the telecast tomorrow. Here's the switch hitting catcher Blake Swihart. AJ Ramos trying to keep it at 1.
I think a really good sign from AJ was that last inning, the 9th inning he pitched the last game in Atlanta. He had his struggles leading up to that appearance. He had a nice 1-2-3 inning, utilized all his pitches, and threw the ball really well.
Junichi Tozawa in the bullpen. Swihart tests Echeverria, who throws him out.
Good to see Echeverria back in that picket mode. Had that rough game in Atlanta with a couple of errors. Nice and smooth there. A little pick by Justin Moore.
Rusney Castillo now is flying out, lined out, and has an RBI triple. Lines it to right. Ichiro has it. That brings up Jackie Bradley Jr., former South Carolina Gamecock. There is Tazawa. Sunday in Detroit at a 1-2-3 8th inning.
Again, some good pitches from AJ.
And he got him. Strikes him out. Jackie Bradley Jr. is done. Nice inning by AJ Ramos. Bottom 9, Miami down a run. Your South Florida Honda dealers. And by Panera Bread, shop your local bakery cafe to enjoy your favorite Panera salads. Junichi Tazawa in for the Red Sox. At the outset of the telecast, we talked about some of the injured Boston Red Sox, and one of them, their closer, Koji Uehara. And this was Friday night in Detroit, seeing Kinsler off his wrist. And the amazing thing with a fractured wrist is he threw Kinsler out at first.
It's amazing that he did that. You can hear that hit the wrist. You see Uehara with 25 saves completed that play. And now the Red Sox, without their closer, have to kind of mix and match. And tonight it's Tazawa, who, believe it or not, has just one career save. That was in 2012, and it wasn't of the conventional variety. It was pitching the final 3 innings of a 10-3 win. On a night where Miami has left 13 runners.
Cole Gillespie, JT Realmuto, and then Ichiro. Gillespie to center. It's well hit. A lot of room there. Betts is back, and he makes the catch at the track. Checkers presents Marlins Live. Greg Bittervini, Jeff Conine, Stephen Wright, the knuckleballer. And Mookie Betts has had a nice night as well. There they are, ladies and gentlemen. Jeff Conine sporting his colorful socks tonight, I'm sure from his collection. Here's Realmuto. Realmuto, with the bags loaded and nobody out, hit an absolute bolt to shallow right. Rusney Castillo caught on the move. Otherwise, Realmuto was looking at least one RBI, maybe two. The Marlins got one run out of that inning on an Ichiro sacrifice fly to the middle of the warning track in deep right center.
They really shade Realmuto that way. Betts in toward right center, and Castillo toward the line where he was when he caught that line drive.
That liner's going to find grass.
Not going to get that one.
Castillo picks it up. Realmuto has his second hit of the night. He swung the bat well tonight.
Boy, he has.
He's doubled as well.
His double back in the 6th. His 16th double of the year. His pitch down out over the plate. And again, another line drive off the bat of JT Realmuto.
Now Tazawa will face Ichiro. A strike.
Yeah, Tazawa has handled Ichiro the last few years.
Ichiro, a line drive and a base hit to left. Not that time he didn't.
How about the night for Ichiro?
First and second, one out.
2 walks, a sac fly, and a bullet for a base hit here in the 9th inning. No chance for Sandoval.
Here is Echeverria.
Hit number 2,910.
So he's 90 shy of that magical 3,000 milestone. Carl Willis, pitching coach of the Red Sox, on his way out. Nobody warming in Boston's pen. Echeverria's 1 for 4. Now, remember, we talked about Christian Yelich being available to pitch hit. He is not on deck. Tomas Talis, the switch hitting catcher.
That tells us, obviously, unfortunately, he is not available.
There is Talis. So a big at bat for Echeverria. Boston's infield certainly looking for a ground ball.
Echeverria would love to find that left center field gap.
Zawa dots the corner. 0-1. Yeah, not quite the corner. the dirt. You've got speed at first with Ichiro, who is the winning run.
Look at that. You always have to be prepared for a walk-off base hit.
Real Muto in second is the tying run. So the trail runner Ichiro can fly it. He's not being held at first by Shaw, which gives him a few extra feet on the lead. 1-1 coming. And Real Muto is plenty fast himself. I think we saw that in Atlanta. He had a day where he was running wild.
I think he surprises people with his velocity. Yeah, I think JT Real Muto has impressed a lot of National League managers, coaching staffs with his speed and the way he runs the bases.
One, two. It's up, and it's even at 2-2. Miami and Boston, a brief two-game series, both teams in the basement of their respective Eastern Division. Marlins a nice win on Sunday in Atlanta. Tazawa trying to close for Boston. Echeverria just staying alive, fighting the breaking ball off.
Yeah, Tazawa is getting a heck of a battle from Echeverria. He's fouled off breaking balls, he's fouled off fastballs.
2-2. In the dirt, it kicks away. Real Muto moves up. Ichiro moves up.
Now it really gets interesting.
This is always a ticklish decision for a manager. And remember, Torey Lovullo is managing tonight. John Farrell back at the team hotel after surgery yesterday. Do you bring the infield all the way in? And Boston's infield is halfway in. 3-2 now. Echeverria in the air to right field. Deep enough, you would think. Real Muto tags. Castillo has it. The throw comes home. Ichiro goes to third. The game is tied. Castillo took a shot, and it cost him 90 feet of Ichiro from second to third. And Echeverria, terrific at bat, ties the game at 4.
I think a poor choice for Castillo. He didn't really have a play at the plate. If he throws to third, he at least holds Ichiro. But as soon as Ichiro saw that ball that high, he took off and was able to get over to third. Another high fastball. He saw a lot of those from Tazawa. That one high enough, he was able to drive it deep enough.
Tomas Talise with 2 outs. Pinch hits. A ball to the screen could win it. It's 1-0. Talise, a switch hitting catcher, acquired from the Texas Rangers, Sam Dyson trade. Up here, 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th. A 4-0 lead finally is erased. Big rip there. Junichi Tazawa standing in for Koji Uehara has blown a save.
Obviously, this will be a great moment for the ball club if they could get a win here. It would be tremendous for Tomas Talise. Since he joined the club, hasn't had a whole lot of opportunities.
Talise, a little tapper up the line. Shaw has it in fair territory. And the inning is over, but Miami gets a run and forces extra innings. To the 10th, it's 4-4. Brought to you by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Feed your wild side. A 4-4 ball game in Miami tonight. Boston and the Marlins. Into the 10th. Brian Morris for the Marlins. Marlins have used Kyle Barraclough, Henry Flores, Mike Dunn, A.J. Ramos.
And that group, the bullpen tonight, 3 1/3 innings. No hits, no runs, no walks, and 3 strikeouts.
Junichi Tazawa given an opportunity to close. I don't know if it's open audition in the closer role for Boston, but that didn't go well. Travis Shaw, who came in that double switch, ends up leading off. Top of the order follows Mookie Betts, Brock Holt. Interesting line score. 4 runs, 10 hits for Miami, 4 runs, 9 hits for Boston. You go a little further right and you see that the Red Sox have left 4 on base and the Marlins have left a season high 14 on base tonight.
Yeah, the Marlins tonight 3 for 14 with runners in scoring position. Have 10 base hits and have received 8 walks.
This is the 5th time this year that Travis Shaw is up with the big club. That's a lot of up and down. And he's appeared now in 15 games.
Probably learned to deal with it because he grew up in a baseball family.
Jeff Shaw, former pitcher. That's well hit, left center. Dietrich settles and makes the catch. Well, the Toronto Blue Jays, speaking of the American League East, capture their 9th straight win. Jose Bautista with a solo home run. And they beat Oakland 4-2. You know, one of the names that's having a terrific year, kind of a breakout year, is not Bautista, not Encarnacion,
A guy we saw up there.
Chris Colabello. Guy who spent so long in minor league and independent ball. Got to the big leagues, I believe, with the Twins. Yeah, Josh Donaldson's really good. And boy, Tulowitzki has sure helped him. But Chris Colabello's well over 300 this year. On a hop, Echeverria squares it up, and Mookie Betts is out. 3-hit night for Mookie Betts, but the second out of the 10th. And here comes Brock Holt. What else is going on tonight? Doug Melvin resigned as the general manager of the Milwaukee Brewers. The Cubs, who are hot as a pistol, have a 6-3 lead over Milwaukee in the 7th. Cubs have secured for a while now that #2 wild card spot. Now they're trying to chase down the Pirates, who are trying to chase down the Cardinals. The Pirates trail the Cardinals. That series starting in St. Louis. That's where the Marlins are headed next. 4-3 Cardinals over the Pirates in the 8th.
The big series there for the Pirates in St. Louis.
I know you and your craft beer buddies have exchanged tweets and emails tonight. But the Marlins are about to go on the all-beer road trip, right?
That's right.
St. Louis and Milwaukee. I know Coors Light and Coors in Denver, but no ballpark consumes more beer than those two, St. Louis and Milwaukee. Manny Colon on cue, dropping off the travel itinerary. First stop St. Louis, next stop Milwaukee.
As he always is, on cue.
2-1 pitch to Holt. In the air, and it's out of play. I mean, St. Louis, you have that great scene downtown where it's just an invasion of red about 3 hours before first pitch. Very different in Milwaukee. As you drive up to the ballpark, in Milwaukee, you've got the great tailgating. All the barbecues and the great smell and the beer. 2-2. Out to left. Dietrich is there. 1-2-3 for Brian Morris. Marlins trying to get a win and a walk-off in the bottom of the 10th. Mr. Hutton.
All right, kids, follow along. There's Mookie Betts. Remember that name. There's an RBI single. Red Sox had a 1-0 lead. He made it 2-0 with another base hit. So Mookie Betts, an early favorite for player of the game for the Red Sox. They added 2 more runs, had a 4-0 lead. The Marlins started to peck away. A ground out by Casey McGee, pinch hitting. That produces a run. 4-1 was the score. D. Gordon gets a base hit. Makes it a 4-2 ball game. Then in the 7th inning, the Marlins start doing little things correctly. How about Ichiro? He just missed a grand slam. A deep fly ball, sac fly. 4-3 was the score in the 9th inning. Echeverria, great AB, high fastball, sac fly. So the last 2 runs for the Marlins have been sacrifice flies. 4-4 is the score, and that's where we are here in the bottom of the 10th.
Announced crowd of just over 30,000 tonight. Josh Rutledge into the ball game, as is Craig Breslow.
Well, with some lefties due up. Look at Billy. He's changing costumes.
That would be a Flash costume. Flash Jr. He could not fit into his Iron Man outfit. Gordon, RBI single in the 6th. Story of this game. Red Sox had a 4-0 lead. Marlins had opportunities. They've left a lot of guys on base. 14, a season high. But the Fish, a resilient group tonight. Got 2 runs in the 6th, added 1 in the 7th, and tied it in the bottom of the 9th. Breslow, the veteran lefty. Gordon lines it left center field, hits it deep, and he hits it over Betts' head. Gordon around second, on his way to third, and he's in there.
The one time tonight Mookie Betts didn't run one down.
Flash Jr., his 6th triple of the season.
And yet another multi-hit game, number 37 on the year, just out of the reach of Mookie Betts. He's caught everything tonight. He's cut off a number of balls tonight. Great job by D. Gordon. He picks it up right there. He knows he's at third base.
The Red Sox are going to intentionally walk Martin Prado. We'll see if they walk Dietrich that way and load him up. Torey Lovello running the ball club. John Farrell had surgery here in Miami, hernia surgery yesterday. He was at the ballpark earlier this afternoon. We're told headed back to the team hotel. Now here comes Dietrich. Tommy, would you walk him loaded and then maybe bring an outfielder in?
You have to think about that. You do have the lefty-lefty matchup, but you also had D. Gordon triple off the lefty.
Got another lefty on deck in Justin Bour.
And it appears he's going to have the lefty pitch to the 2 lefties.
Breslow out there alone, no one in the pen. He's the 6th man out of the bullpen. Dietrich shoots it foul. Derek Dietrich has walked twice, singled. And the entire Boston infield converges on the mound. Waters at the ready. Dietrich with a chance to win it. Prado runs, and he ends up at second. A strike to Dietrich. You know, one thing that allows Prado getting to second, you can run on contact now because Prado will get to third.
So if you run on contact, you force the infield to make a play.
Absolutely. You might not do it if Prado's still at first.
So in essence, this gives you a shot to do it a couple of times.
Yes. 0-2.
D. Gordon is running on contact. He was off moving on that ground ball.
Of course, the important thing is that the trail runner knows that as well. He's running on contact too. Tomorrow, earlier start, 3:30 for Marlins Live. Franchise 4 will have him here. Gary Sheffield in the booth. Giancarlo Stanton in the dugout. Mike Lowell in the booth. Jeff Conine mic'd up. Marlins on the rail, hoping to walk off against the Red Sox in the bottom of the 10th. And Dietrich swings and misses. So Breslow gets one of the lefties.
Climbed the ladder, went up with a fastball, and got a big strikeout.
He's looking for another punch out here. Bohr looking for something to drive. You can't pick a faster Marlin to place at third base. That's D. Gordon. That home run against the Giants, his first career walk-off hit in the big leagues. Bohr drives it. Ball game. Miami walks off. Gordon scores. That's a big man in the middle of that celebration.
Boy, that was a big man that took a big leap, but also had a great swing against the left-hander Breslow. Didn't try to jack one out, knew a base hit would do the job, and crushed one into left center. Boy, nice swing. Stayed right on that ball. Might have been a little slider that Breslow threw. Look at that. You didn't know the big guy could leap that much.
Look at that.
Got some air time.
Some big ups. And the Marlins get an emotional win here. Down 4-0. They come all the way back to tie it. And then in extra, they win it. Justin Bohr down below with Jesse.
Yeah, Justin Bohr coming up with that big hit. Take us through that at bat.
Really just looking for a pitch to hit. Guys did a good job getting on in front of me. Second and third there, really just looking to get the job done. And, the first one was a ball, so I was just looking for something out of a play like a drive,
How much did you feel like you were due for a big hit? This is only the second walk-off hit of your career.
I don't know the answer to that question, to be honest with you. I just, trying to get the job done, and thankfully I did.
What can you say about the way this team battled back, heading into the bottom of the sixth, down 4-0, coming back and winning it in extra innings?
Yeah, we got down 4-0, but this team doesn't really quit. We did a great job winning, so it's good.
I saw you look behind you. You surprised that you haven't seen the?
I'm glad I didn't. I got done without getting dunked on, so this is good.
All right, congratulations. Thanks so much, guys.
A walk-off hit, no dunk. And Justin Bohr heads into the clubhouse. Well, a couple of feel-good wins for the Marlins. Certainly the win in Atlanta, and to open here The Red Sox, believe it or not, had won 7 in a row against the Marlins going back to 2012. Here tonight in the 10th, D. Gordon set the table with a leadoff triple. And Justin Bour chased him home for the win. Marlins Live coming up.